Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's morning briefing.
Fresh rocket attacks from Gaza have just been launched into Israeli territory. 2 rockets exploded inside the Strip, 1 exploded in an open field, and 1 actually struck a house in an Israeli community in the northern Negev. No injuries have been reported. The IDF has launched an immediate counterstrike to these attacks, hitting 6 Hamas military targets inside the Strip. The army has identified these facilities as a training camp and buildings that support Hamas's terror infrastructure. The latest volley of rockets from Gaza is only the latest attack, ever since President Trump's now infamous decision to officially recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. However, this is the first real rocket to actually hit an Israeli structure. In pictures posted to social media, you can actually see the damage caused to the outside wall of the house. All in all, this is already shaping up to be the biggest consistent period of rocket fire from the Strip since the 2014 war between Israel and Hamas. Looks like the Israeli defense minister is set to advance yet another bill that would enable the death penalty for terrorists. Israeli political leaders have agreed to submit a draft bill to parliament, meaning the death penalty legislation has finally been approved by the Coalition Leaders Forum. Lieberman claims that if the bill is passed into law, it will serve as a great deterrent to Palestinian assailants who hope that after serving in jail, they could be freed in a political deal. Back in 2011, Israel released more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners in exchange for the soldier Gilad Shalit, who'd been held captive in the Gaza Strip for 5 years. The bill would still need to pass 4 more readings before becoming law, and it's previously failed to garner sufficient support in the past, but the Israeli Prime Minister has voiced approval for the measure. Israel already does have the death penalty for crimes against humanity and treason, but it was last used when Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann was convicted in 1961. 2 weeks after the historic recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital by United States President Trump, Knesset Speaker Yuli Edelstein is now sending letters to leaders of over 50 different countries, urging them to follow suit. He has also sent that same letter to at least 30 different Israeli legislators so that they can distribute it worldwide as well. In the letter, heading to dozens of heads of parliament from around the world, Edelstein writes that, quote, Jerusalem is the only capital that the State of Israel has had since gaining independence nearly 70 years ago, continuing that the move would be, quote, consistent with the historic record, end quote. Coincidentally, the letter also comes just days after the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, or the OIC, gathered for a summit calling to recognize East Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine, and amid a UN Security Council vote scheduled for today that would reject the United States' Jerusalem decision outright. The resolution drafted by Egypt says, quote, any decisions and actions which purport to have altered the character, status, or demographic composition of the holy city of Jerusalem have no legal effect, are null and void, and must be rescinded, end quote. The United States is expected to veto that vote, throwing it then to the General Assembly for further review. A teenager and 2 children have now been injured after an unexploded ordnance that they were playing with blew up in central Israel. The kids were playing in the Kula forest near the community of Elad when the explosion happened. Israel's emergency ambulance service says the 14-year-old has sustained serious injuries, but luckily the 11 and 9-year-olds have only been lightly hurt. The incident comes just a week after the Israeli Defense Ministry carried out a controlled demolition of over 300 landmines in the Golan Heights as part of an ongoing effort to build up the region and avoid future accidents. The Israeli cabinet has just approved a massive new project to help integrate the country's ultra-Orthodox population into Israeli society. The initiative allocates at least 7% of all jobs in the public sector and reserves them specifically for the ultra-Orthodox. The Haredim community receives a government stipend that allows them to pursue their devotion to Torah, but despite this support, the ultra-Orthodox is still one of the poorest communities in Israel. Contributing to this is that this year, the ultra-Orthodox community accounted for only 7% of Israel's entire workforce. But this new initiative, which is being hailed by ultra-Orthodox parties, will offer 130 new jobs to Haredim every year. Furthermore, by working in the public sector, this will help integrate Haredim into the rest of Israeli society, which sometimes sees the ultra-Orthodox as cut off from the rest of the country. Either way, it's a win-win for the country.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.